The wind howls over the vast Atlantic, carrying with it the hopes and fears of men daring to challenge the unknown. The year is 1415. Portugal, a small kingdom on the westernmost edge of Europe, gazes outward, toward the endless blue. The Age of Discovery has begun. For centuries, the oceans were feared as an insurmountable barrier, a void where monsters lurked and ships were swallowed by the abyss. Yet, under the banner of Prince Henry the Navigator, a new vision takes shape, one that sees the sea not as an obstacle, but as a pathway to glory, wealth, and knowledge. In the grand halls of Sagres, scholars, cartographers, and sailors gather. They chart the stars, refine navigational techniques, and whisper of distant lands. The astrolabe and the quadrant become their guides, the caravel their instrument of conquest. The first great leap comes with the conquest of Ceuta in North Africa. A fortified city, a gateway to the riches of the Saharan trade. Here, the Portuguese taste their first triumph beyond their shores. Gold, spices, and knowledge flow into Lisbon, igniting a hunger that will drive them ever farther. The explorers push southward along the African coast. Each voyage carves a new line on the map. Cape Bojador, once deemed impassable, is conquered by the fearless Gileans. With this victory, the psychological chains of the past are broken. No longer does fear of the unknown hold them back. They sail onward. The journey is perilous. Storms rage, provisions run low, and the sea is merciless. But with every hardship comes discovery. The islands of Madeira, the Azores, the Cape Verde archipelago, each a stepping stone, a beacon in the endless expanse. And then, in 1488, a defining moment, Bartolomeu Dias rounds the Cape of Good Hope. The dream of reaching India by sea is no longer a fantasy, but an inevitable destiny. The ocean does not end, it opens a gateway to the east. The Portuguese have dared to dream, and the world will never be the same again. The year is 1497. The dream that had lingered in the hearts of explorers for decades is about to become reality. A fleet, led by the determined Vasco da Gama, sets sail from Lisbon. Their destination, India. With the lessons of past voyages guiding them, they chart a course that will take them beyond the known world. Past the treacherous waters of the Cape of Good Hope, beyond the shores of Africa, where no European had sailed before. The journey is long, arduous, fraught with disease and uncertainty. Months pass. The vast emptiness of the ocean stretches endlessly before them. And then, land. The scent of unfamiliar spices drifts across the waves. In 1498, Vasco da Gama reaches Calicut. The Silk Road has been bypassed. A new trade route is born, and with it, the foundations of an empire. The riches of the East, pepper, cinnamon, silk, flow into Portuguese hands. Lisbon rises as a global center of trade. But the discoveries do not end here. More explorers set forth. Pedro Álvares Cabral, in 1500, driven by strong Atlantic currents, sights a vast and unfamiliar land, Brazil. A new world, a new frontier, forever tying Portugal to the Americas. And so, the Portuguese navigate not just oceans, but history itself. Their ships carve paths across the world, binding continents in trade and culture. The Age of Discovery, born from courage and ambition, has reshaped civilization itself. But trade is not enough. The Portuguese dream of empire. Fortresses rise along the coasts of Africa, India, and the Spice Islands. Cannon fire echoes across the oceans as Portugal fights to secure its dominance. In 1510, Afonso de Albuquerque seizes Goa, establishing the first European colony in India. It is a city of wealth and power, a gateway to the riches of the East. But the ambitions of the Portuguese do not stop there. In 1511, the fleet reaches Malacca, the heart of the spice trade. A single, bold strike, and the city falls. The waters of Southeast Asia now carry the flag of Portugal. Cloves, nutmeg, and precious goods flow back to Lisbon, enriching the kingdom beyond imagination. And then, beyond all expectation, one final leap. In 1543, Portuguese sailors, driven by storms, land on the shores of Japan. A new world, a land of samurai and emperors, opens its doors, if only for a fleeting moment. But glory is not eternal. The empire, stretched thin across the vast oceans, faces threats from rivals, Spain, the Netherlands, England. The tides of history begin to shift. Yet, though the age of Portuguese dominance may fade, their legacy remains. A legacy of courage, of discovery, of daring to go beyond the horizon. The once dominant Portuguese Empire finds itself challenged. The Dutch, seeking control over the lucrative spice trade, strike at the Portuguese strongholds in Asia. In 1602, the Dutch East India Company emerges as a formidable rival, systematically dismantling Portuguese influence. One by one, the fortresses fall. Malacca is lost, the routes to the Indies contested, and the dream of total dominance fades. Yet, Portugal fights to maintain its holdings in Brazil and parts of Africa, where the wealth of sugar plantations and the transatlantic slave trade sustain its power. By the 18th century, the Portuguese Empire is but a shadow of its former self. The grandeur of exploration gives way to survival. But though the golden age of discovery has passed, its impact is everlasting. Lisbon, once the center of the world, remains a beacon of maritime heritage. The maps drawn, the routes charted, the worlds connected, all bear the mark of Portugal's daring spirit. The age of discovery has ended. But its legacy endures, forever etched into the registers of history.